guys, we're back again. Today we're talking about a little bit about anterior shoulder pain and a lot about pec tears, particularly for bench pressing and particularly for the equipped bench pressers. Something that I had a lot of problems with when I was competing, particularly when I got into the shirt for contest prep, was just recurrent pec tears. A lot of that stuff associated with just that slowdown in the transition, particularly going from a 2-board and then down to the 1-board in the chest. I find it to be really strong off 3-board, 2-board, pretty good off of 1-board. Once I got down to the chest, things would really struggle. So when we talk about, why is that pec tearing, you have to look at the mechanics of what's happening with an equipped or shirted bench too. Oftentimes that pec minor is going to be really tight on lifters as well, and we're going to see some correlated weakness with serratus anterior, which we'll talk a little bit about in a bit. But if we look at the mechanics of an equipped bench press, as you tend to lower, you're going to hit that resistance bubble around the shirt where the chest plate is. So as you're lowering, you're going to hit a point where that shirt's going to start fighting back. And this is the point where the tendency is to either dump the bar down on your stomach or up towards the neck if you're not careful. So if you're doing your job and bring it right down through that bubble of resistance, if you don't have enough weight, if you're not well practiced enough, what will happen is that bar will start to slow down. And it'll just be an agonizing journey trying to get that bar all the way down to your chest. Now what's happening here too is that vulnerable point is as the shoulder is going further and further into extension. So the shoulder is going back and back and back and becoming more and more compromised, all while you've got a weight on the bar that's probably more than you can handle raw. Because again, if we're talking equipped benches, we could be talking about 100 to 130% of your 1 rep max, depending on what you're doing and where you are in relation to contest. So it's going to slow down, tremendous load with tremendous weight, all on the rotator cuff and on that pec minor too. So if that pec minor is already tight, which it most likely is, and we're driving that shoulder into extension under a heavy, heavy load, it's going to start screaming. So what would happen was, you get at the touch, and then I was finding that on the press, I hear that little pop snap, and then all of a sudden, oh, there goes my pec. So time under load was a factor, big weight was a factor, speed was a factor, shoulder blade control was the underlying issue. So again, we're talking about a tight pec minor. What we'll see being correlated for the weakness is a serratus anterior. So serratus' chief job is to protract the shoulder, okay? But it's also serves a function to keep that shoulder blade pinned into the rib cage. So if you've got a weak serratus, what you'll see, it's probably not too bad at rest here, but if I do that, you'll see that inferior angle of the shoulder blade pop out. Now if your serratus is really weak, that'll be there at rest when your arm is just in a normal position. So get a sense of that. I found as well that my side with the recurrent pec tears was related to my deadlift grip too. So the hand that was pronated on the deadlift grip, that was the side where I recurrently had the pec tears. So it makes sense if you think about it, you're internally rotating on that side, then everything's going to come forward, protract, get tight. Then you add in the high volume of benches, and there's your recipe for a pec tear. So what can we do about that? Well, first off, let's get serratus stronger. So, there's not a lot of EMG activation for serratus when you're benching. You can look at the literature for that. A quick search on PubMed will say that, serratus is going to kick in when you're doing more push-ups. So something I started doing once I got through my rehab was integrating push-ups as part of a warm-up for bench days. I'm not saying, go do 5 sets of 10 and burn yourself out, but 3 sets of 5, something like that, nice, easy rep range, just as more of a warm-up. Secondly, serratus push-ups, to isolate it. If we're talking about that protraction movement, basically want to keep the elbow locked, let the shoulders come down and push back up. This is going to be mostly serratus, mostly protraction. What I'm doing as well is my palms are forward. I'm going to plant them and I'm going to externally rotate my shoulders as well, just to keep that elbow from collapsing in. So palms forward, fingers forward, rotate out. Try not to shrug up when you do them. Keep everything nice and in line. Again, neutral spine, chin is in, just keep that nice alignment. Nice and slow on the way down. nice and slow on the way up. So what I did was added those in to the warm-ups as well. Did 2 to 3 rounds of that, 10 reps. If that's too easy, go down to one arm, palm just on your thigh, same concept. Easy reps, more of a warm-up. Now, add that in, see if you can get more strength through serratus. Hopefully, that inferior angle will start to get closer and closer, tucked in. Now, loosening up the pec, my favorite has always been Kelly Stark's Blue Angel mode. He does it on the floor in his book. I like to do it against the wall. So right where those pec tendons intertwine, that's where I'm going to stick the lacrosse ball. Right there, going against the wall. Now what I'm going to do here as well is notice I'm going to start with this internally rotated position, hand behind back. That's so the pec is mostly contracted. As I dig into the wall, I'm going to start to abduct, externally rotate the arm. Digging in, how high can you get it? Now, if I'm really digging in, this is about as high as I can go before I start to feel my shoulder click and block. If you're really mobile, you might be able to get it the full 180. Again, just think, twist that thumb up the whole time as well. If you do get to about 90 or 100 degrees and you feel like, it's clicking, that's popping, that's just telling you that your shoulder's impinging, probably because of pec. So as we lock that down with the lacrosse ball and try and lift, it's saying, no, we're not going any further unless you crunch in on your cuff structures and things like that. So there you go. Incorporate some serratus warm-ups. Get that ball in that pec. That's one of the best things I ever did to really loosen off that pec. Give those two a try, and hope it helps, guys.